6 or 7 years ago, the opportunity to do good and be nice to people in the council was rapidly disappearing, and I thought, well, Menstrual Vice seems like one of the few remaining corners, and how right I was.
We've got a feeling that, you know, we're the good guys.
Only job I've ever enjoyed. Well, that's a bit sad, isn't it?
I've met some great characters over the years, you know, really, and I will miss them.
And I just love it. It's just an absolute brilliant bunch of people. You know, everybody's geared up, you know, got the same focus as helping people as much as possible.
I never thought I would get on so well with a bunch of tree-hugging, Jesus boot-wearing, organic eating, fair trade buying, socialist liberals.
Just what is it that you want to do?
Well, we want to be free.
My first impression was, how am I going to fit in here, because everybody speaks like solicitors.
I possibly have to be careful what I say with all these politically correct people. Apart from 3 people who were sat in the desk behind me, who I subsequently found out were tenancy relations officers, who seemed as though they were on a different planet from everyone else.
It was the beginning of 1994, wasn't it? So I was one of the originals.
It was really scary, and it felt like being in a solicitor's office, that everybody knew everything and I didn't know anything.
It was just fussy, there was lots of people talking, bulging, yeah, it was a good atmosphere, nice place.
Yeah, it was great to come there after, you know, being in the lowly voluntary sector. Then it was full of kind of right-on thinking, very humorous people who were really committed to their jobs. So it was kind of easy to fit in.
Our clients bring their troubles and strife, even problems with husband or wife. Housing, benefits or debt, we must never forget they have only one issue, their life.
Well, it's the clients who make it, isn't it? Some people say, well, it must get a bit boring because you do the same stuff all the time, and you deal with the same problems, but it's the way people react to the same problems. Some people don't give a monkeys about owing 20 grand. Other people won't sleep if they owe £2.50.
I actually really enjoyed working with the clients.
They haven't got too much going out and haven't got enough coming in, and that's the long and short of it, really.
I've loved working with all the clients, even the ones who may be challenging and, you know, in some sense difficult.
And it's the variety of clients that is what appeals, really. And you know, I know it's a bit skewed, but the whole of the world lives in Manchester.
Just down to earth, ordinary, everyday people. Very, very glad I'm able to get some kind of advice or assistance with something that they felt was out of their control. And that just sums up Manchester Advice in a way as well. That's the role of Manchester Advice, was to bridge any gaps in knowledge or provide knowledge to people.
Basically strike small blows for social justice on a daily basis. And, you know, to do that for a living is a joy.
It's a complete madhouse, in a good way.
Immense fun, yeah.
It wouldn't be an advice centre if we didn't anybody kick off, it'd be fun.
always expect the unexpected.
The advice centre was the best.
Because we do hear some bloody amazing stories, don't we, in the advice centre?
Yeah.
Not so much stand-up comedy as sit-down comedy on both sides of the table. In a variety of accents.
It was really busy and was obviously going to be quite stressed. It was a busy, bustling environment, interruptions, a lot of stuff going on.
Lots of different experiences, you know, a parade of humanity before my eyes.
I do remember one of the things that Pete said to me right at the beginning was it was a bit like being on stage going out into that advice centre, and that you had to almost do a performance, and it kind of, if you could convince other people that you knew what you were talking about, ultimately you would convince yourself, and there was a lot of truth in that.
The unpredictability, the temper tantrums, the noise, everything. Actually, in the 8 years I've been with Manchester Advice, the advice centre was definitely the best.
Sometimes you'd go out there in the morning and be faced with all these multitudes and think, oh my God, I'm on reception, how am I going to deal with it?
It's kind of a hive of that, somewhere between kind of chaos, ordered chaos and complete mayhem. But yeah, never a dull moment, always kind of full on in your face.
I learned absolutely loads being there, that sort of everyday nature of all the inquiries coming in, but also for ordinary people out there on the street who could access that every single day, you know, every working day. Didn't matter what money they were on, didn't matter who they were, didn't matter what they were dressed like. You know, it was a bit rough and ready, but it worked.
There were some days where you'd have kind of, I don't know, 7 or 8 council tax bailiff queries after each other, and then that got a bit of a kind of grind, just dealing with, all right, another kind of person on no income, having to pay the bailiffs like huge amount of fees.
Good team ethic, good laugh sometimes, stressful, hard work, enjoyable work though.
Stressful in that you knew you had to provide a service within that kind of environment. Maybe stressful because I was worried about giving good advice, quality advice. But everyone really pulled their weight and helped each other out. And you asked somebody a question, unless they were really busy and up to their eyes in it. Most people just really happy to help, or at least give some kind of input.
There was the kind of, what would you call them, the repeat offenders, the people who came in every single day, like several times a day, like with, I don't know, the latest letter they'd received. I don't know, obviously can't mention names, but elderly clients with possibly interesting makeup.
The number of times I ran into the back and I said to whoever was there, help me, I don't know if I can do this, and they used to say, you can do it, and they'd give me some advice, and we'd go back and we'd actually get on with it.
That's one of the things I've really missed, having left the advice centre and gone into this other role, that isn't the case, that you're more on your own.
When we left the advice centre and came to First Street, kind of I missed that steady flow of you're never quite sure what, I wouldn't say bizarre issue, but what kind of varied issue and personality would come across. I miss that massive variety. The locality team, very deserving, but not quite the same sort of eccentricities maybe.
The team in the advice centre were absolutely amazing, and you know, it just made working there so enjoyable.
I loved that group, that whole group, sort of together at it mentality, and there was that bit about going behind the scene, going behind the screen and sort of having a laugh and then being able to go back and go out and be proper again. I loved that. It was like being at school in some ways. Always
nice to be able to step away from it, come out the back, share an amusing incident with a colleague. Not so easy now in First Street, of course. It has a lot of bad press, but one First Street and the Customer Services Centre, most of the people in there are okay, and you know they haven't had the benefit of working in the kind of collective comradely atmosphere that we had in the advice centre, but they do their best in difficult circumstances, and I quite like it there. And I know you have to wear a uniform, but the cufflinks are nice. Yeah, we haven't seen him in the new place, but there used to be a guy who came in at the town hall.
I had a wild look in his eyes.
Excuse me while I kiss the sky.
All I can remember him really is falling asleep in the... Is that 2 pints?
Mr. 2 pints of LSD and a packet of crisps.
Falling asleep in the advice centre and entertaining us with his shouts of 2 pints of LSD.
2 pints of LSD.
2 pints of LSD.
They used to come and ask for 2 pints of LSD, and I used to say, "Would you like a packet of crisps with that?" So took me back to my barmaid days, you know.
And what else? There was something else he used to say as well. And the clapping. 2 pints of LSD.
2 pints of LSD, please.
2 pints of... 2
pints of LSD!
And then over time it became 4 pints of LSD.
Funnily enough, went up, I think it was to 4 or 6 pints of LSD. But no more crisps, interestingly, and always used to think maybe he needs to balance his LSD and crisps in a better ratio.
I don't know what he actually wanted. I think he was from Salford.
No, I think he was from Salford as well, so we had to tell him he had to go somewhere else anyways.
What didn't I like about Manchester Advice? What did I hate about Manchester Advice? I must have hated something else, but what did I hate about Manchester Advice? Taking over from Miriam.
Pete.
No, I didn't. Somebody strolling in, one of my most hated things, somebody strolling in at R4 on a Friday night with eviction and everything basically. I'm going on lunch on my own. I did hate that actually, it took me ages to get used to that.
Going lunch on your own,
Yeah.
What was that?
Because I've never gone on lunch on my own before.
Oh, right, yeah.
I've always been in groups.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Complete legends in the world of advice.
Terry and Jean, they're just stars, aren't they?
What a double act.
Jean Betteridge and Sarah.
Which is absolutely a gem.
Very, very, very clever guy.
Well.
Called her the Oracle once or twice, and never again, not to her face. Because she doesn't see us at all.
Yeah. Brilliant. Jean, I was taught by Jean. When I did my welfare rights by Jean, she taught me everything I know. Fantastic, Jean.
Jean is an amazing trainer, and the amount of knowledge that she has got is absolutely astounding, and especially if you think about in terms of the fact that she actually doesn't do face-to-face work with clients, and to have that depth and breadth of knowledge, which is, you know, it's very hard to retain. It's just, I'm so impressed.
I think she really knows how to talk to people and make them feel at ease, and she's lovely.
Don't ask her something while you're on drop-in.
And Jean was known to me long before I came to Manchester Advice, so that the font of all advice knowledge, what will we do, or what will the world do without Jean?
Because she gives you the full, whole kit and caboodle explanation, everything basically.
I can actually say that I think that Jean should have been the head of Manchester Advice, probably with Terry behind the scenes. Jean would be at the front, Terry behind, doing the policy stuff, which is of course what he does.
The policy forming legend that is the straight speaking Terry Patterson. Huge respect for the man. And knows about benefits that I didn't even know existed.
Always ready to kind of help us with conflicts.
Trying to be serious for once here. Jean and Terry are a very, very sad loss to the public eventually. Their knowledge of benefits, second to none, I would probably say in the whole bloody country, pardon my language, right? And the idea of their skills being lost is just quite ridiculous, really.
Godfather and Godmother with the advice centre. Well, Manchester advice anyway.
Peter Allen's great. Still great.
Oh, Peter, we love him, little Peterkins.
Snake hips. Walking through the advice centre.
Peter, I think the advice world's Mark Thomas springs to mind. Comedian, political activist, all-round kind of funny and dedicated guy. Big respect for Peter, always.
The man is a hero and a legend. He's the loveliest guy you could imagine. He was a pleasure to work with. He never got discouraged, you know, and all that is really important to me. He was genuinely a good bloke, a good person to work with, and just a miraculous spirit, really, you know, a good man.
His enthusiasm and his always positive to the point of annoyance sometimes, so positive about everything.
I think he's passionate and he's funny and ultimately probably going to be disappointed in life because those around him don't feel as strongly about things, but I think he's lovely and his energy kind of pours out of him and he's infectious to other people.
Oh yeah, I mean Peter's dancing and wine quaffing almost dare not be spoken about.
There'll never be anyone like him ever again.
Yeah, Jim calling a strike. In fact, I only went to see Neela twice, and both times was to be reprimanded. First time I saw was because I'd been done for sending emails at my previous job, and the second time was when I went on strike with Jim.
Extreme ways are back again, extreme places I didn't know. I broke everything new again, everything that I'd owned. I threw it out the windows, came along. Extreme ways I know.
No, I can't remember the finer points though. I just remember Jim, health and safety out.
Can't remember the incident with Jim about calling us twat because he seemed to call so many.
Magnificent. It was quite. I couldn't fault Jim at all. You know, he was fighting a one-man battle against the forces of oppression and repression and suppression.
Sorry to see Jim go. He was good on a lot of stuff, wasn't he?
I have to say about Jim, he actually did defend me in a difficult situation with the management, and he was very, very good. So can't knock Jim for that.
Well, he felt he was on our side and definitely would do anything he could to try and stop any erosion of our rights as workers, and the same for the customers who came in. He'd really go all out and try and find ways to help them.
I'll tell you what, I'll always remember Jim and, I don't know if you can put this, Jim and Peter with the big issue. They sort of invented it, didn't they?
What the Romanians claiming.
Yeah.
I always put it down to Jim. I think there's a statue of Jim in memory in Romania.
In Romania. There will be, won't there, like Norman Wisdom. That's in Hungary though.
I always remember, again, another leaving do or some Buffy in Manchester advice. I don't know whether it's about a year ago, 18 months ago, when Jim sort of was there, and he basically said that I don't want to worry you, but they're getting rid of Manchester advice, and I fear for all your jobs. And we all looked at each other and thought, that's Jim, he's just saying that, he's just saying that. And now, however long down the line, it's basically true what Jim said, that they're wanting to get rid of Manchester advice, and
I don't know anything funny.
Some old bloke came in, he'd been trying to get his rubber had fallen out at off the end of his walking stick. He'd been to this place and that place and this advice agency and this place and that place, and nobody had helped. But then we, or to be honest, Lee, did the business. Found a bit of sellotape, found a bit of cardboard, did a job on it, stuck it together, secured the rubber on the end of his walking stick, and he went away happy, singing the praises of the advice centre.
Once when everybody was working away, beavering away in the back office, and this lady managed to make her way through the office door and started telling everybody off, what are you doing in here? You should be out there advising people. And everybody looked up and didn't know what to say.
The funniest thing that I remember is that when all the bird flu and wiping, everyone coughing on each other, and we were all living in absolute mortal terror. And I used to, when I had to speak on the telephone after clients had been on, I'd get the antibacterial wipes out and wipe the phones in front of the client. And I had no qualms about doing it. I just used to say, oh, it's just not safe. It's not hygienic anymore.
It kicked off in the advice centre. Some customer was becoming quite abusive or loud. And what I always remember is Joe Rambo Woodcock rushing out of her office to sort of get stuck into the situation like someone out of WWE.
One of the funniest things that happened was when one of my colleagues came into the back and she didn't know whether to be insulted or complimented, really, because the person that she'd been advising had said that he knew she was going to be lovely because fat people are always helpful. And she was laughing, but she was obviously a little bit kind of put out as well, but I just laughed about it for weeks and weeks afterwards.
I made the big mistake of comparing young people to putting your car keys in the pot, a swingers party, that we were all consenting adults, but you're never quite sure what you were going to come out the pot with. And I know it was a bit embarrassing when I kind of realised maybe the sexual analogy at work wasn't quite the right attitude to be giving. So I withdraw that comment.
So, as Matt said, it's nearly a year now since you came to power, and this is the first chance for one of viewers to ask you some questions. So what we did, we went to Greater Manchester to see what was concerning the people there. Here we go.
I'd like to ask you, Prime Minister, why you're proposing to cut legal aid for some of the poorest and most vulnerable people in our society.
Well, it's all politics.
I definitely think it's out and out political manoeuvre to disempower.
Well, everybody depends on everybody else, and hopefully what we do in Manchester Advice is basically say to people, look, we're all in this together. We are all in this together. We are the big society, and you know you've actually got an entitlement to this, an obligation to that, a responsibility to this, and an opportunity to this, and you know that's how it should be.
It's absolutely outrageous because what we do is actually improve people's quality of life.
Manchester Advice engenders dependency.
Every single time. I mean, I know the more we could help people stay on the rich benefits lauded out by central government, then the better, really.
That just makes me very proud. I think it's just grasping at straws. It's just find an excuse to shut down a fantastic, empowering service.
We all know what a fantastic, great, 65, 45 is to live on.
I don't think we show up dependency at all. I think that's come from people who have absolutely no idea about what we do.
We all know that we do the absolute opposite, that we actually encourage people to get out there and claim what is theirs, but also to get moving and change their lives, not just to stay the same. We know that's rubbish.
Nobody's going to wait in a queue for 3 hours to have a situation dealt with that they can't deal with themselves. Why would I do that?
We give them a little bit of freedom back to be able to live properly. That's not dependency, that's empowerment.
It's just such a shame that's how Manchester Advice has been viewed, really. And what kind of springs to mind? It's like Usain Bolt running 100 metres, just about to break the world record, and then 5 metres before the finishing line, someone stopping him and telling him he's got the wrong trainers on. It's a bit like, we've done a good job for the first 95 metres, doing a very good job, and then suddenly, you've got to stop for the most sort of, bizarre and incomprehensible reason.
There's a good turnout from Manchester Advice, lots of people from Unison and from Unite, basically wanting to protest about the fact that Manchester Advice Service is being disbanded. It's a free legal advice service for people in Manchester, and it's absolutely essential, a lifeline to help people get out of dependency rather than to stay in it, which is what the council are saying, and we're really, really angry and sad. Councils today are passing a budget which I think is £110 million of cuts, including the total closure of the Manchester Advice Service.
I need to apply for DLA. I want to know who I can go to now.
Right.
I've tried CABs, but they're not open, are they?
Right.
Tried my counsellors, but they don't know where to send me either.
I'm going to vote to save Manchester Advice. I'm going to vote to save Leverhulme Mats. I'm going to vote in favour of Shore Staff, but you don't mind me because I'm not Labour.
I think it's a very sad day, really, that people who, for the most part, councillors who came into public life and into local government to change the world for the better are actually now introducing and carrying out really vicious cuts that are going to destroy the social fabric in Manchester, and they don't need to do it. And we're here today to try and persuade them at this final hour to actually put their lot in with those of us who are fighting for social justice, rather than those people who are fighting to destroy it.
We want you to stand with us, with the people, with the protesters.
There is no buts, no public sector cuts. There is no buts, no public sector cuts.
I can't hold this day anymore. Understand me anymore.
The vote's been passed, the budget's set, and Manchester Advice is no more.
Still can't believe it. Don't believe, still. Even though I know the meeting was on yesterday, or whenever it was, and it's going to happen, still thinking that I'm going to wake up and it's all been a bad dream, really. I can't believe that they'll do this to the people of Manchester.
Well, can I swear?
Well, I do think it's a real shame. And a loss for the people of Manchester.
It's criminal. It's criminal. It's going to cause so much. It's going to be so much hardship and so much lacking.
I think it's a very sad thing for the public of Manchester, and I think it'll have to be reinvented long term.
It makes me quite angry and very upset. And, it's not just an end of an era, and it's not just a loss of a job for me. I've used advice services in the past, and it's saved me from a lot of hardship and stress, and my family as well. So I deeply understand that it's going to be a major gap in services for Manchester.
I've been through shock, I've been through anger, depressed, come to accept it.
I kind of think it's a kind of it's like a decapitation for true democracy in Manchester. Manchester Advice was always run with the residents first, really, which is how true council services should be run. So it's a shame to kind of think that sticking up for people's rights isn't a council priority anymore, or has to be covered in different ways. So I kind of think maybe, and hopefully that will change in due course.
It hasn't really been the same since we moved out of the advice centre, and we're in the customer services centre. We're doing our best, but there's really going to be nothing behind us.
And I'm really sort of sad that it's come to this, really, and it's heartbreaking for me. I was actually in tears when we found out that we're actually closing down.
I would have been quite happy working in Manchester Advice, till I retired. So the fact that, it's no longer going to be an option, and I might have to look for another job which possibly I won't enjoy, what I'm doing. It's basically it's devastating. It really is.
It's easy to get rid of a service, but it's very hard to bring one back, and I think they'll regret it.
There's going to be an enormous gap in services. That will come to the fore within the next few years.
Well, I was going to the advice bureau, but it's feel a bit harder for me. But since I start coming in Manchester Advice, it's feel easy and a lot better helpful for me, and easy, That's why since then I always come into the Manchester Advice.
They're all shocked that such a valuable service is going to be ended, and it's a shame.
They're not happy either, and I think some of them are, and certainly some of them are talking about going to see their elected representatives. Let's say they do.
One of my clients actually cried.
I just can't believe it. I think they just thought it was going to be there forever, that even though they might not have used it, all the years of their life or anything, they depended on it to be there when they needed it. And it was just ordinary people as well, isn't it? It wasn't about people specifically going through another work or another agency. It was just ordinary people out there that knew that was a safety net. Ordinary people, and also at any other time in our lives might have needed it, and it was one of those everyman places.
Yeah, I just kind of slip it in a sort of like, oh, by the way, that Manchester Advice is closing, and I think it's kind of disbelief, because I've had quite a lot of people who say, well, Manchester Advice, the help we've given has been the most useful because it's got their income up to a proper level. It's kind of been the practical thing that people's everyday lives come to, rather than just about a care package. it's really made a difference. So yeah, shocked, shell-shocked, I'd say, probably is what it is at the moment.
It's like my second home really here. I've been here 25 years and I got to meet a lot of people and they've been and come back and, you know, it's been great. So I will miss you all.
I think I'll miss the people because I've made some great friends. Everybody's just been so kind to me and so supportive of whatever harebrained scheme I've come up with. And I think also I will miss the job. It is been quite hard at times, but it's very satisfying when you know at the end of the call or at the end of face-to-face advice that somebody's gone away feeling a lot lighter.
The bottom line is, essentially we were trying to help people and it was great to get paid for that, and I will miss that day to day, that day-to-day interaction with the great random public of Manchester, you know.
It's been absolutely great working here, and Jane Bevan, when she left, actually said that in terms of work, Manchester Advice had been the love of her life. And I can honestly say, I mirror that. I'll never ever work in such a fantastic workplace again, and with the colleagues and friends that I've made here. And actually, to me, that'll be the saddest part of all.
The people, the humour, definitely, and the commitment. I've not worked anywhere where all of those things have gelled so well together. And yeah, it's going to be a sad day when everyone finally leaves. It's easier to destroy than create, and I think it will take a long time to find a workplace that's as good as that.
Now, where's that tree? I need to hug a tree.
The last bloke who I remember, and it was actually after we'd moved to the customer service centre at First Street, this bloke came in just around when the students were kicking off. He said, never mind the fucking students, you wait till the Scallies of North Manchester kick off, then this fucking government will listen, and I hope he's right.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hanging on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos of memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.